I hoped I could wed her, I whispered. The alien princess smiled and said, then you shall. The human diplomat stood on the crystal balcony of the imperial palace, watching 3 moons rise over the capital city of Valerian Prime. Marcus Webb had arrived on this world 6 months ago as Earth's ambassador. Never expecting his life would transform so completely, the Valerian Empire stretched across 40 star systems, a civilization ancient when humanity still huddled in caves. Their princess, Lyessa, possessed abilities that defied human understanding. She could sense emotions across vast distances, manipulate gravitational fields with thought alone, and live for centuries without aging. By all logic, she existed beyond his reach. Yet somehow, impossibly, they had fallen in love. Marcus remembered their first meeting in the Grand Council chamber. The Valerian High Lords had regarded him with barely concealed contempt, viewing humans as primitive newcomers to galactic society. But Lyessa had studied him with curious violet eyes, sensing something in him that others missed. Your species fascinates me, she had said after the formal proceedings concluded. You burn so brightly, despite such brief lives. Their friendship had grown slowly, carefully. She taught him about Valerian history, philosophy, and the intricate web of alliances that held their empire together. He shared stories of Earth, of human resilience and creativity, of how his people had clawed their way to the stars through determination alone. The Valerian nobles disapproved. Ambassador Webb lacked noble blood, lacked centuries of lineage, lacked even the basic psionic abilities that every Valerian child developed. He was fundamentally unsuitable. The Emperor himself, Lord Terran, had summoned Marcus to his private chambers 3 weeks ago. The ruler of 40 worlds sat upon a throne of flowing energy, his presence radiating power that made the humans' bones ache. You spend considerable time with my daughter, Terran had said, his voice resonating with harmonics beyond human hearing. Marcus had bowed deeply. Princess Lyessa honors me with her friendship, Your Majesty. Friendship. The Emperor's expression remained unreadable. Is that truly all you seek? The question hung in the air like a blade. Marcus had chosen honesty. I seek whatever Princess Lyessa wishes to grant me, nothing more. Terran had studied him for a long moment. You are aware that Valerian royalty traditionally bonds only with those of equal station. My daughter could unite star systems through marriage, forge alliances that would endure millennia. I am aware, Your Majesty, yet you persist in your attention to her. I persist in answering when she calls for my company. If that displeases you, I will cease immediately. The Emperor had waved a hand dismissively. If it displeased me, you would already be on a transport back to Earth. No, Ambassador Webb, what displeases me is the complication you represent. My daughter has refused 7 marriage proposals from suitable nobles. She claims her heart belongs elsewhere. Marcus had felt his pulse quicken, but kept his expression neutral. You cannot give her centuries of companionship, Terran continued. You cannot strengthen her abilities through psionic bonding. You cannot even survive in the deep chambers of our ancestral home without environmental suits. What exactly do you offer the Crown Princess of Valerian? The human had considered his words carefully. Honesty, Your Majesty. Genuine affection without political calculation. Someone who values her for herself, not for the alliances she represents. Pretty words from a diplomat. Perhaps, but they happen to be true. Terran had regarded him with an expression that might have been respect. My daughter believes this as well. She has asked for my blessing to pursue a relationship with you, despite the scandal it will cause. Marcus had barely dared to breathe. I have not yet decided, the Emperor had said. I will observe you further. Prove yourself worthy, and perhaps I will consider it. Fail, and you will leave this world forever. Since that conversation, Marcus had felt the weight of constant scrutiny. Palace guards followed his movements, Noble courtiers tested him with elaborate social traps, hoping to expose him as unsuitable. The high priestess of the Eternal Temple had even challenged him to a debate on Valyrian spiritual philosophy, clearly expecting him to falter. He had survived each test through preparation, patience, and genuine respect for Valyrian culture. More importantly, Lyessa had stood beside him, making clear her choice. Tonight marked the Festival of Three Moons, the most sacred celebration in the Valyrian calendar. The princess had invited him to watch the moonrise from her private balcony, away from the crowds and politics. She emerged from her chambers wearing robes that shimmered like starlight. Her violet eyes found his, and she smiled with warmth that made his heart ache. "You look troubled, Marcus." He turned to face her fully. "I've been thinking about what we're attempting, the barriers we face. Second thoughts?" she asked, but her tone suggested she already knew his answer. "Never. But I wonder if I'm being selfish. You could have someone magnificent, someone who matches your station and abilities." Lyessa moved closer, her presence calming despite the power she contained. "Do you know what I sensed when we first met? Not your diplomatic credentials or your species' achievements. I sensed genuine wonder. You looked at our city, our people, our culture, and you felt pure fascination without envy or fear. So rare even among my own kind. That hardly seems enough." It was everything. She took his hand, her skin cool against his. "I have met countless nobles, Marcus. Powerful, ancient, perfectly suitable matches. They saw me as a prize, a political asset, a means to elevate their houses. You saw me as Lyessa." The three moons climbed higher, bathing the balcony in ethereal light. Below, the city celebrated with music and dancing, their voices rising in ancient hymns. "My father will make his decision tonight," Lyessa said softly. "The High Council has demanded an answer. They argue that allowing this union would diminish the crown's prestige." Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. "And your mother?" "She died when I was young, as you know. But she left writings, guidance for situations such as this. Her final wisdom was simple. Power without happiness is merely burden. Duty without love is merely slavery. Wise words." She was human. Marcus stared at her, genuinely shocked. "What?" Lyessa smiled at his expression. "My father's first wife, my mother, came from Earth. This was 200 years before your people achieved faster-than-light travel, before humanity knew other civilizations existed. She was taken by slavers, rescued by my father during a military campaign. They fell in love, married despite enormous opposition, and she became empress. She could not bond psionically with him, could not live centuries, could not access the deep chambers. Yet their union was the happiest my father ever knew. The revelation shifted everything Marcus thought he understood about the Emperor's scrutiny. He's not testing whether I'm worthy," Marcus realized. "He's testing whether I'll make you as happy as your mother made him." "Precisely." Footsteps echoed from the chamber behind them. Emperor Terran emerged, alone, his expression grave. Marcus bowed immediately, but Lyessa remained standing tall. "Father, daughter." Terran moved to the balcony's edge, gazing out at his celebrating subjects. "The High Council has made their views abundantly clear. They cite tradition, precedent, and political necessity. They insist that Princess Lyessa must marry within established noble houses." Marcus felt his hopes crumbling, but kept his face composed. "However," the Emperor continued, "I am not the High Council. I am the Emperor, and I remember what it means to choose love over convenience." He turned to face them both. "I also remember promising my late wife that I would never force our daughter into a loveless political union." Lyessa's hand tightened around Marcus's. "Ambassador Webb, you lack many things my daughter's other suitors possess. You lack psionic abilities, extended lifespan, noble heritage. You cannot offer military alliances or economic advantages. By traditional measures, you are entirely unsuitable. Marcus nodded slowly, preparing himself for rejection. Yet you possess something infinitely more valuable. You make my daughter happy, truly happy, in a way I have not witnessed since her mother lived. For that reason alone, I grant my blessing. The words took a moment to register. When they did, Marcus felt dizzy with relief and joy. I hoped I could wed her, he whispered. Barely aware, he spoke aloud. The alien princess smiled and said, "Then you shall." Theron's stern expression softened slightly. There will be challenges ahead. The High Council will protest. Other noble houses will view this as insult. You will face considerable opposition. We understand, Lyessa said firmly. Good. The Emperor moved toward them, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. Then let it be known throughout the Empire. Princess Lyessa of House Theron will wed Ambassador Marcus Webb of Earth. Let those who object come speak to me personally. As the Emperor departed, leaving them alone beneath the 3 moons, Marcus pulled Lyessa close. She felt delicate in his arms, though he knew she could level mountains with a thought. Are you prepared for this? She asked. My father is right. Many will disapprove. Let them disapprove. I've waited my entire life without knowing I was waiting for you. She laughed, the sound like crystal bells. Humans are so dramatic. It's one of our better qualities. Below, the festival continued, unaware that history had shifted on this balcony. A human and a Valyrian princess,